Welcome back, everybody. Fourth Bag, episode 7. Here we are back in Canada after the World Championships. Chris, first experience at Worlds. How do you feel?
I mean, when people told me that World Championships is something you can't miss, I kind of had my doubts. I was like, is it just another cornhole tournament? But let me tell you, after getting to experience Worlds, I think we should crack a drink and talk about this one. Cheers, buddy. So, Worlds for me, getting there was an absolute nightmare. You drove, right?
Yes.
How long is that drive?
Of actual driving time, about 11 hours.
So, my thought was I can get on a flight, 2 hours, direct flight, right from Toronto to Charlotte, not waiting in a car. I can spend a couple hours editing videos, that kind of thing. Well, that flight got canceled on me. I ended up having to connect through Pittsburgh. And as you recall, I was like, hey, Dean, don't let them start the blind draw without me. I think I'll have a phone. I might be able to get there on time. And I was frazzled.
Yeah.
I literally didn't know what to do. I'm sitting here traveling alone. And all I literally had was my Zuka. I actually emptied my luggage. And the only thing I brought on my entire trip was my Zuka. So all of my clothes were in there. My partner, Phil, already had my bags. And I just ran through the Pittsburgh airport, got to Charlotte, grabbed a cab, $100 later, arrive at Charlotte. It's 3:05 at the Rock Hill Center, and luckily singles went late.
Yeah.
So I finally had 15 minutes to calm down, and you drove down with Connor, and Connor saw me come into the gym, and he's like, all right, let's throw. So I sat there, and I got as hot as I can, as quick as I could, and played a blind draw. We got second place in that blind draw, which is awesome, but...
Second in the bracket.
Second in the bracket, an intermediate blind draw. The actual cornhole at Worlds is phenomenal. Like, how many boards did they have? Like 100 and some, 140 boards?
125, 130, somewhere in there.
With 4 feature courts plus the other area for actual ESPN. Like,
yep.
you would walk down the hallway and you see all of these tents of all the bag suppliers. I learned about, like, tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers. You got the sit and go area. The entire place is just like, you're immersed in cornhole.
Yeah.
Anywhere you look, you want to play, go play a sit and go. You want to watch, there's pros on like all of these courts. The experience itself, like you have to actually experience it. You can go Facebook Live, you can see it, but until you're really there, you don't really know what you're missing.
Yeah, it is definitely a different sensation being there in person. I mean, I think unfortunately for me, I didn't play as well as I would have liked, and maybe just the constant cornhole. And I mean, there's not a whole lot really to do in Rock Hill. It's a little bit of a boring city. So maybe that kind of worked to my detriment. I don't know. I mean, I've talked a lot about making trips about more than just cornhole, and maybe that worked against me this time, not having that outlet. But anyway, Chris, I mean, the Dr. Pepper incident, you gotta talk about that.
Time out. Let me just.
I mean, you're famous. Pepper. You're Dr. Pepper famous.
So first of all, do you actually know that Dr. Pepper in the States is phenomenal? Like, the difference in Dr. Pepper, one of these days we'll have a challenge. If you keep me a can of Dr. Pepper from Canada and a can from the States, I bet you 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, I could tell you which one's from America. It just tastes better.
I've heard that.
What happened with this Dr. Pepper, we're playing the feature court. Phil and I got lucky enough to come back in the semifinal. We made it to the finals, and after the first game of a double dip, I had to pee. Probably too much Dr. Pepper. We win the game, we do fist bumps, so I'm like, Phil, I gotta pee, I'll be right back. So I told the guys on the court I gotta go. Went to the washroom, 3.5 minutes later I'm back, and I happened to stop for a Dr. Pepper on the way back because there was nobody in line at concession. So I came back, and I was informed you really shouldn't be doing that. There's a live feed. Apologies, I didn't realize that it was a big deal, but it was. And then we went down 18 or 19 to nothing. And the commentators were, Bernie and Trey, and they were just ripping into me. Michelle, you sucked the momentum out of the game. And I was like, I had to pee. Nature cold. I get it. And so I called a timeout. And I went to Phil and I was like, Phil, we're down again. We've been here before. We're on the feature court. Let's go have some fun. And the next time I set up the Ocho and I made an 8 spot, Phil and I got right back into that game. And unfortunately, we didn't end up finishing the job. But yeah, I became Dr. Pepper famous. If Dr. Pepper is what I'm known for in the cornhole community, a onesie wearing, cowboy hat wearing, Dr. Pepper drinking, Twizzler eating cornhole player, then, cheers to that.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, you and Phil were 1 game away from winning your bracket in intermediate doubles, and that's a pretty solid result for you.
I didn't realize how big it would be until I saw these posts on Facebook where they're saying the world champion.
Second in your bracket in both tournaments that you made it to.
Next year, competitive, I think intermediate. You've always told me, Chris, play at your level and then once you posted a result, move up.
Yeah.
So would you say it's time?
I think when you finish second in the bracket, that they move you up automatically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what happened with Brandon and I last year. We were second in our bracket in competitive, and we were promoted to advanced as a result. So yeah, that should happen, and yeah, and it makes sense. You know, next year play competitive. That's the right move.
Well, I got the Opens shirt back here, and the number of Opens next year. You know, hopefully we can go down and play in a few of those. When do they set the schedule for like the ACL season? That starts in October, right?
October the 1st is the official start of the new season.
And we have a regional that day.
We do.
That'll be sweet. We have another regional coming up. What is it, October 15th? The For a Joke. They announced their regional. It's mid-October. So we've got For a Joke, Cornhole. We got 2 regionals on the books already here that we can play in. Yeah. And we're 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and Peterborough's announced their schedule for several months of the next season too. So
we haven't even finished the top 100 yet.
Yeah.
And our season here in Canada, and we're already talking about regionals and starting next year. So I feel like, you know, the cornhole scene in Canada is alive and well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I can't say my play was really how I wanted it to be. Right.
I had some good games and I had some bad games.
Wait, I remember watching one of your games, and was it the PDC singles, was it?
PDC Rounders?
Right, yeah. We were recording, I walked up, and somebody on Facebook Live was like, Dean doesn't seem like he's throwing like himself, and I was like, no, he doesn't. Like, something doesn't seem right. But you picked it up in that game, so I felt like even in-game you were sort of like, you might not have started the right way, but you finished, but by then it might have been too late kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel right at all a lot of that. Until the last game when I beat Tex Chrisman 30-0, I didn't feel like myself the whole night, really. Yeah, I mean, I got down 16-4. I skunked that guy in Chicago, and I was down 16-4 in that match.
Right.
I just wasn't. I don't know. I mean, again, it might be what I talked about earlier, but I mean, my play aside, I still had some really good.
Well, for the course of the season, I mean, you put up results, but like. The ACL has a cutoff, and at what point, you know, this would make people make it. And I know you told me you kind of felt, 1 point short? 1 point short, yeah. Like, that's a stone bubble if I've ever heard of one. It was the worst. So Jerry Zimmerman, who was my partner in the Louisville Open, he messaged me and said, hey, you know, Zach Shibner posted, or Bust You Up Cornhole posted that Zach Shibner made it in as a pro on Open Points, and you and him were close in the standings. Right. Did you get an email? So I don't know, I'll have to check. I didn't get one. So I went up to the desk and I asked what was the cut line for open standings getting in. Right. And they said it was 72nd place. And then what are open standings?
Open season standings. Yeah. So there's open event standings, which is your results from the opens, right? Your best results. And then open season standing, which is that top 100 thing. It's your results throughout the year based on the criteria that's been laid out, that Moondog laid out in his in his video and all that kind of stuff. So if you had one more point, so like a change a second to a first in any one of these events, finish one more bag. Yeah. Like I don't want to needle. Man, that sucks. Oh, it absolutely sucks. I mean, you have all these different results, all of these. I played over all of that in my mind on Saturday, and it hurt like a mother. You know, it was the worst. So one of the worst feelings I've had all week. And I mean, and not just. Yeah, I definitely played all the results. All the games I lost by 1 and 2 points over the year. Right. You just can't help but look back and wonder. And then I also remembered on the last episode, we talked about how our directors weren't running enough regionals. How we're running number 4 when everybody in the U.S. is on 8, 9, and 10. Right. And if we had run just a decent number of regionals, I would have gotten that extra 5 points to max out my regionals, and I'd have been good for that too. Right. So I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of both there, but I mean, all of that aside, I had some really good moments at Worlds. I mean, getting a chance to meet Doug Flutie and having him sign my Flutie Flakes box. What were the date on the Flutie Flakes box? I know the best before date was November the 14th, 1999. You've had that box since 1999. That is incredible. If not before, because the shirt wouldn't have been bought. Yeah. 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 Oh, wow. Absolutely. I know. 98. We were grade 9 in 98. We were. Grade 99. When I met you, it would have been in grade 9, right? Yes. So you've had that box for as long as I've known you. Pretty much, yeah. That's amazing. I know, and but I was cleaning my basement recently, and I found this. It was a Doug Flutie collectible. I honestly have no idea how I got this, but I love Doug Flutie and I love the Bills, so I got it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put it right in my basement. I put it on display, and then when I found that the Super Bowl had Doug Flutie, and I was like, Doug Flutie and Matt Guy. I walked up to him and I was like, hey Matt.
I got this collectible. I know you're Doug's partner for Super Bowl. Would you mind getting me to sign it? He's like, yeah, no problem. Just throw it in my bag. Like, what a dude. Like, he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, at Worlds, though, I think they almost tried to crown a new GOAT. Mark Richards.
Well,
what could you say about Mark Richards?
They didn't try to crown him. He just took it. He won co-ed. He won singles. He came second in pro doubles.
Right. I actually were you there for pro doubles in the arena?
I was.
So I was on my couch watching it on ESPN. When the match was like maybe halfway through, my cat crawled onto me, and I fell asleep watching cornhole. It was kind of like a lazy Sunday, fell asleep on the couch watching cornhole, and something woke me up, and I woke up literally when it was the last end. So when Jordan made the comment of like, even the best of the world get nervous, I just turned my camera on because I knew something special was happening. So I turned my camera on and I was like, this is going to be a moment. And I sort of did like a live watch of it. It was insane. Like, what was the reaction like in the room? Pulling for Richards to close it out? Like, what was the feeling of the crowd?
Well, I think there were a lot of people that were into the comeback. I don't know. I kind of had mixed feelings because as awesome as the comeback was, I was kind of rooting for Richards to complete that perfect week. And I mean, I actually encountered him in the Walmart, and that was fun. He's like, "Oh, Dean Lang. Oh, I've heard that name.
That's cool.
I just hadn't, couldn't put the face to it until now." Yeah, I mean, and so that was cool. I mean, like I said, there were good moments. There was seeing Connor and his reaction to the cheap beer and all the American candy. All the candy you don't get in Canada.
Right.
I mean, it was sort of like, experiencing it again for
like
the
living
first
it for
time.
the first time.
Reliving it like it was the first. Yes, getting to live vicariously through that.
I felt that way with my partner Phil when Phil came over to me and he told me he just threw down and back with Matt Guy and he was videotaping it. Like, honestly, the look on his face of like he was just so elated to have had that opportunity. Like, how often do you get to throw down and back with Matt Guy? To the casual person who's watching at home, who might see him on Facebook, who might not even make it to these opens. Like, yeah, that's an experience. Honestly, all of these pros, the men and women who are out there, they're just people. And getting to know them, getting to know Nicole, getting to know Timmy, watching them do their vlogs, watching them, go for that pro qualifier. Like, it's so amazing the connections you can make in cornhole and like the quality of connections you can make down at Worlds, down at these big tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got a chance to reconnect with Haley Price and her wife Brandy. She was my blind draw partner last year at Worlds and first tournament I went to there. And when I was on the feature court, me and Brown against Peyton Lopez and Caleb Franklin, right. I could hear get my name getting cheered, and I looked into the crowd and I saw it was them that were cheering me. I was like, wow, that's we were just all the only time we had met was when we were blind draw partners, right. and now she's here supporting me, and that was pretty awesome.
No, I love that. When I was playing in the feature court, I had, Team Canada was always there cheering, right? It was like we were in each other's corner. Somebody's in a match, hey, so-and-so's on this court, go cheer for them. Mm-hmm. So we could always hear you, but I kind of hated having to look. Like, I just wanted to focus on the hole. Especially on that feature court when there's people all around. Yeah. I didn't want to ever pan my eyes left or right because I didn't want to know that was Trey Ryder and Bernie Neighbors. I didn't want to know that there was like people that I knew watching me. I could hear you. I didn't have headphones and I heard everything. Yeah. But I just, you said before, just, look down at your target, just focus what you can. When you're in that box, block everything else out. So I just tried to stand straight. And then after, Dr. Pepper, Twizzlers, calm down, say hi to everybody, then get right back into it.
There you go.
Yeah. So when we were down there were other things that happened, and they've been talked about like ad nauseum on Twitter. One of them is the Sam Finley scorekeeping mistake. Yeah. So a mistake was made. Tell us about what happened.
Okay, this was the back end of the double dip where Sam Finley was playing against Caitlin Ham for the bracket final in women's singles. Ham got the first win, and she was up 16-10 in the second one. They were on round 17, and Ham put up a 9-7, so she got 2 points.
Right.
But Finley marked 2 points for herself, accidentally.
Right.
And then marked 2 points for Caitlin Ham in an 18th round that never actually happened.
So what she should have done was gone back.
Yeah.
Or what she was trying to do maybe was go back around, fix that one.
Yeah.
And then come back forward.
It played out. And it ended up being, it was 20-20. Well, it should have been 2018, but it was played out as 20-20. And Sam had a 4-bagger. Caitlin was in with 7, and she threw an airmail, which she made. But
for a 12-on-10 for 2.
But yeah, so the true score of the game should have been 20-20.
But at the time, it became 22.
Yeah, she thought the game was over, so
Right.
she threw the air because she didn't care. I mean, she made it, but if she missed it, then and that's the point that was talked about, is that when you alter a score like that, it alters your game tactics.
Sure.
I mean, and Trey posted several posts on Twitter that the rule book said, that once a score is entered, then it's just, it goes through, but they'll have to make some sort of adjustment next year in the rules, but that it can't be that you go back 3 rounds and fix it. But yes, it can. Look at what the NBA does. I mean, in basketball games, it happens all the time where
A
2 or 3,
yeah,
something on the 2-3 borderline is called one way on the floor, and then first commercial break, they go back and look at it, and then they oftentimes add or deduct a point based on that.
One of my ideas on feature courts and broadcast courts, after having finally got to experience one, I mean, I tried to avoid scorekeeping all week. I just didn't want anything to do with the score tower. I find that I can focus on not doing the score. Yeah. And so often Phil or my partner would have done the scorekeeping. However, on the feature court, you've got talent 1, you've got talent 2 doing the broadcast, sometimes talent 3 on the mic. One of those people or another volunteer could be assigned to, say, a feature court, and their responsibility is to get the players on time. So having that extra body to sort of administer the game and make sure it runs smoothly could be a potential opportunity for improvement.
Absolutely, that is a definite viable option for certainly for the feature courts. I mean, you obviously can't do it for all 100 courts, so that's just too many bodies.
I think it would just keep the broadcast moving quickly. It would also keep the fans engaged at home. It would keep the players playing the game. It would keep the fans watching and keep the people administering and commentating.
The thing for me that I look at when that happened, I know Sam Finley personally, and you met her in Canada, and we. She seems like a nice person, and she wouldn't do something like that intentionally, but man, that looks bad.
Yeah. What
happened can't happen there.
Right.
It just can't happen. And yeah, I mean, Caitlin Ham got kind of cheated. There were comments to say it was an ACL versus ACO thing and whatnot. And I mean, man, that again, I wouldn't say that, but the fact that it's being said, I can understand where that kind of stuff is coming from.
Right.
And I mean, I really wonder what would have been done if Cheyenne Renner was was in Caitlin Ham's position in that situation. I mean, it's hard to imagine somebody as meticulous as Renner not catching that mistake, but what would have been done if Cheyenne Renner was in that position?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing with incidents like this is that it sets a precedent. And I know there was another match, I think it was with the Ultra Court, and we've got these bags that get called for a measurement.
That's right. This was a bracket final. Devin Harbaugh and Derek King were going up against Philip Lopez Jr. and Mark Richards. And Devin Harbaugh called for a bag check on Richards and Lopez bags.
Right.
And then their bags failed the inspection. That's Richards and Lopez. And Harbaugh's and King's bags failed the inspection as well.
And how does the inspection happen? Does somebody just look at it? Do they have a machine? Do they have a jig?
There was some sort of a machine that they were putting the bags into.
Have you ever seen that used before?
I haven't seen it used, no.
I never even knew there was such a thing. So they have a jig, they measure the bags, all of the bags fail inspection, and then they just play with the bags.
That's how it looked. That's how it looked to me and to a whole bunch of other people who watched that.
So again, you have I was listening at home, and they were relaying the information saying, I just found out this about this, and this is happening with these bags. And then at one point they just said, you know what, we're just not going to talk about it anymore because we're not really sure what's happening. So we're just going to leave it at there's something wrong with the bags.
Yeah.
I had no idea they actually went ahead and played with them. And so if you're going to have a rule that says you have to play with a legal bag, and then now you play with illegal bags, that just sets a precedent for the next person to say, well, how come so-and-so got to play on that match?
That's right. Yeah, precedent. That's the key word. You're making. It's almost like you're just kind of making up the rules as it suits the situation, and that's not good.
No. Does the ACL talk about rule changes in the off season? Do you have any insight into how those things work?
I don't know what methodology they're going to use to change rules. I mean, I know Trey talked in his Twitter about changing the rule governing the scorekeeping per the mistakes in the Finley match. I don't know what kind of process there's actually going to be to undergo to actually make these rule changes.
Right.
Before we get into SummerSlam, we want to touch on that epic comeback in the doubles final, where Power and Ruben were down 20-2 against Richards and Lopez and just methodically chipped away.
Right.
And Power at one point yelled out, he may be the number one player in the world, but he still gets nervous. And the very next end, Ruben completed the comeback. And Power's quote-unquote antics were divisive.
Right.
But when I watched it live, I didn't find anything wrong with what he was doing.
I'm not the kind of guy to be like, miss. Not live in person,
Right.
but at home, I couldn't help it. I wanted Jordan and Jay to win that match so badly. I was just like, just finish. Go and finish this comeback. And so yeah, I'll admit, while they're throwing their bags, I'm at home saying miss, but I'm not in their ear.
No.
And neither was Jordan. Jordan was saying things beside them,
Yeah.
but it was like between shots.
Right. It was never in Richards' backswing, and that thing he said, the quote I just said,
Right.
that was as his bag was traveling up the board, and Richards hadn't even lined up his throw yet.
You know what? That's one of those situations where you don't call money unless you're money, and thank God that Jordan's bag went in.
No,
Because
he
knew
it
his
was
bag
right
was
down
in.
the middle.
You know out your hand that bag
Yeah.
is going in. But yeah, man, don't call money unless you're money. And Jordan Power, Jay Rubin,
No, I mean
they were money.
they're good enough to know when they're money.
Yeah.
I mean, and now before we get on to SummerSlam, the one point I think I want to wrap up all of this with is, no matter what side you land on with all of the controversy, death threats, the Trace, like the ones Trace said him and his family were getting, are just unacceptable. There's no call for it ever, and messages like the one Sam Finley was getting, calling her a cheater and calling her this and that, no call for any of it.
Absolutely.
There's no place for that in cornhole. There's no place for that anywhere, and that needs to stop.
100%. Well said. And honestly, I didn't know that stuff was happening because I didn't even think that was a possibility. So unfortunately, if that is happening, that just should not happen.
No kidding. And now
On a lighter note,
SummerSlam.
Yeah, so I'm watching this thing and like I remember in my day Stone Cold Steve Austin driving down a Zamboni. I forget. Do you know what event that was? I'll challenge you off the cuff. I have no idea, but it happened. He comes down, he hits it,
Yeah.
and
I think he was in Detroit.
he's just like he's cheersing beers, and then I see Brock Lesnar, and I'm like, dude, he's driving a tractor.
Yeah.
Is he literally gonna pick up the ring with this thing?
He
Yes.
did. Yeah. Oh, I know. That was an absolutely amazing sight.
And when I saw a dude come down the thing with his Money in the Bank thing, I was like, oh my gosh, Money in the Bank. And like, not gonna lie, when Lesnar F5s that dude, like, it's nowhere near the briefcase. It's like F5 onto the briefcase, and I'm like, I actually rewound it like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, wrestling, sports entertainment, suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
His chin went right into the briefcase, and now he can't get up. And then he gets up, and who was it that like drop kicked him in the face? There was 2 guys that kicked Lesnar in the face and just like knocked him out.
The Usos?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know their
What,
names.
like they were twins?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Usos.
Yeah. So one got from both sides, and then right in the thing, knock
Yeah,
Lesnar out. There's your 10 count.
Yeah.
I think.
And they buried him under a whole mess of stuff. Yep. Yeah, we hit on all our picks for that one. We had Roman Reigns. We had Pat McAfee.
Right.
I scored my other winners with Logan Paul, with Bobby Lashley.
Nice.
All right, so I ended up
Do a couple
pretty
bucks
good.
on SummerSlam.
Yeah, I made a good chunk of money on SummerSlam.
Sweet.
And Pat McAfee, he didn't quite have the same electricity as he had at WrestleMania.
Right.
You know, I mean, when he came out to Seven Nation Army, that gave me chills. This song was nowhere near that.
Right.
But he definitely channeled his Johnny to Body with his take on the wife beater onesie.
There you go.
And he had his chain on, and he still put on a good match. Logan Paul, he surprised a lot of people with how well he worked in his first singles match. Yeah, so overall it was actually a really good show. And with Vince McMahon's resignation, his retirement being kind of forced in due to this investigation where he is alleged to have paid all of these different women that were working for him at the time hush money,
Right.
to keep his affairs and other misconduct quiet.
So he just stepped down.
gone.
He's just
Yeah,
gone.
he's
Vince McMahon.
gone.
So who's running it?
Triple H and Stephanie are now in the position Vince used to be in. So
Right.
wrestling as a whole, but being good again, maybe. But yeah, it was. Yeah, so
Oh,
SummerSlam was a good start to the Triple H and Stephanie era,
Right.
and there's Well, maybe it'll become worth watching again.
Fingers crossed. No, I have my company finance golf tournament next Friday. Got my clubs ready. Gonna go and do some golf. I've been trying to up my golf game. I've been asking my buddies after baseball, how to improve my swing in the parking lot. And I mean, having somebody like do my ball team improve my swing is one thing, but like, thank you, Dean. Thank you for introducing me to Paige Spiranak, because she is also a very talented golfer, and she is great at teaching you how to swing a club as well.
Yes, she
and
is.
apparently she makes picks as well.
Yep. I mean, at the British Open, neither of us were able to pick the winner. I mean, I got pretty damn close with McIlroy. He had the lead on the back nine. That was kind of a tough one. But Paige Spiranak did correctly pick Cameron Smith. She also picked Matt Fitzpatrick to win the U.S. Open. So
there you go.
I mean, there's more to that girl than just a pretty face.
Give her a follow.
Yeah, I mean, she knows her. She knows her golf picks. I mean, like she was never really a great golfer. She never really made it on the PGA Tour.
Right.
And then she found that she can make a lot more money because she's got all the things you need to be on Instagram.
Her content is fabulous. Like, she really can improve your golf game if you have the time to read the posts.
And there you go. And she can make picks.
And she can make picks. So, speaking of picks, I got a couple of things I want to talk about with you. First of all, you have to settle your bet, because I did watch SummerSlam, and you did promise me something out of the stash. And so, what have you got for me from the playground here?
We got Milky Way fudge and Milky Way salted caramel. You don't need to cut them like last time. It's 2 bars.
Oh, there you go.
Cut.
All right, I'll do salted caramel. And why don't we talk about, let's talk about the FedEx Cup. Because we're going to do something for Gambler versus the Gut. And we haven't quite got the football season. In the fall, we'll be able to actually, talk about football, do some picks against the spread, that kind of thing. And Gambler versus the Gut will become very sort of standardized with these, picking against the spread. But for now, there's not much left in the season. So FedEx Cup. What is it, and when is it, and who are you picking in it?
FedEx Cup is the last 3 weeks of the PGA Tour season, like a playoffs, if you will. And it culminates with the Tour Championship, where...
The Tour Championship, is that gold jacket, green jacket?
I don't know.
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? So,
Points for the reference. Come on, where's it from?
Happy Gilmore.
There you go. What do you got going on there, buddy?
Pieces of shit.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
No.
Good chocolate bar, by the way. What is this one? This one was the...
Salted caramel.
It's actually quite good. I'm not sure what I'd compare it to in Canada. How's yours?
The Milky Way fudge. It's got a much richer taste than a standard Milky Way. The fudge really adds something.
Does America just add more to chocolate bars?
Pretty much. I mean, they just...
What do you think they add to Dr. Pepper? Maybe it's just like better sugar. There's something in the Dr. Pepper in America.
I've heard that way too often for it to just not be true. So...
Okay, so the FedEx Cup Tour Championship.
You're right. So in this Tour Championship, they take the standings from the regular season and the first 2 of FedEx Cup playoff events, and it's a top 30, and the first place guy gets to start on 10 under, second place guy 8 under, third place 7 under, all the way down to number 26 through 30 starting on even par.
Right.
And then it's just whoever has the best score wins the FedEx Cup.
Who's the guy starting at 10 under?
That will be determined with the results of the first 2 events.
Got it.
With this week's St. Jude Championship and next week's BMW Championship.
So where is Scotty Scheffler staying in the standings right now?
He's number 1 to start the FedEx Cup playoffs based on his regular season.
So I have been running Scotty Scheffler every single major after he won. Once you made your money on Scotty Scheffler, I was like, all right, Scotty Scheffler all day, every day. And he's given me a sweat, but he hasn't paid off. My guts are already telling me Scotty Scheffler's going to win this whole thing because he's just got this body of work. He's just been always in it. Who do you like in this FedEx Cup?
I'm going to take Tony Finau. He's on fire. He's won 2 tournaments this summer. He got out to a good start today. Paige Spearneck's calling him to win this week.
Are you just copying Paige's picks?
No. I've
You're using Paige's information to inform your picks.
And I mean, I've been on Tony Finau for a while. I've been thinking at some point he's gonna put it all together. He's always been right there, and it seems like he's putting it all together now.
Right. Can any of the Live guys play in the FedEx Cup?
No.
Who just signed with Live recently? Somebody just got another payday.
Allegedly Cameron Smith, although he's playing in this first tournament because I guess Live deals don't become official till you first tee it up there.
Oh, okay. Do you think the PGA is going to let him play in this thing, knowing that he's got this contract on the table, apparently?
Nothing's official, so he is playing in this.
Oh, he's in the...
He's in the St. Jude Championship at least. We'll see what happens the remaining 2 weeks.
Right.
But he's in this one.
It'd be the ultimate flex if he's like in the lead and they just said you can't play the last one, sorry. You need to sign with us officially or you can't play the last event. Like what does the winner of the FedEx Cup get? And what is he currently on the table to get for a signing bonus?
I think the FedEx Cup payday is 10 or 15.
I remember hearing $10 million.
It's either 10 or 15 million. And his Live deal that's on the table is 100 million.
So you get $100 million as a signing bonus to go play Live, or you can try to win a 3-week marathon to win a tenth of that.
Yeah.
And he's still out there playing. I love that.
Well,
like he's out there competing because he probably just loves golf.
Because he can. There's nothing stopping him right now, and it's a chance to win some money. And he started today about 4 under par, so he's in the mix. It's a chance to win some money. Liv hasn't officially kicked off its next tournament yet, so I mean he can kill some time until the first Liv tournament, his first Liv tournament, if he in fact is, and I suspect if it's leaked to this extent that he is, it'd be hard to believe not.
Yeah. The before we wrap up here, I wanted to just one quick shout out to Thomas and Cindy. You know Thomas and Cindy? They remember a guy named Steve Burdis that I met?
Oh yeah.
And I saw Steve Burdis at Worlds, and I was like, "Hey, are you Steve Burdis?" He thought it was hilarious. He's like, "Yo, I got a bone to pick with you. Those are my people that you just took down to the semifinals." So Thomas and Cindy, turns out they actually run the blind draw, the local blind draw that Burnett plays in.
Oh wow!
And so we got to know them, and it was so cool because after Worlds, I come home and I get a live feed indication, and it's Thomas, and I look in the live feed, and it's them playing their blind draw. They invited Phil and I to their sort of like their group south of the River Baggers. And I got to watch like pros in their element playing at their home blind draw. So when you said nothing is stopping, Cam Smith from playing this, I was like, nothing's stopping all of you Americans that we met from coming up to the Canadian Open. And I think a lot of them are. I think next year, a lot of these people that we met down there, they're eager to come up here and play in the Canadian Open. Well, that's going to be amazing.
We'll see.
We had a handful of Americans come up last year, or this past in April. But I think now, as we've come down there, we've sort of made these connections. I hope that we can bring some of those people back, and that they grab their passports and they really do show up. Now, Thomas and Cindy, I know you're going to show up because you guys want that rematch, and Phil and I, anytime, hopefully the Canadian Open, we're going to have that rematch.
Well, Chris, the issue with a lot of Americans not coming to the Canadian Open involved a certain needle. Or 2 needles. I don't know whether those vaccination requirements will still be in place for international travel come next year.
Right.
And I don't know how many of them are actually gonna.
Hopefully, some of them can. Hopefully, they can get their paperwork in order and their shots in order, whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool to see Americans come up and fill up our Canadian Open next year and just like elevate that tournament to a whole new level.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and a lot of them are going to want to get vaccinated because they're going to want to go to Australia. Australia's not going to be any. Easier than Canada is.
I've got my cribbage boards here, one from the Canadian Open, I got one from Worlds, I got one from our conference event, and one from Vegas. I'm looking forward. I'll get as many crib boards as I need to get, but these are the people that make those events special. And I love the connections you make in cornhole. I love getting to see people over and over again. And honestly, it's what makes cornhole fun for me, is the connections, getting to know people. I love it. So what's up next for us? Top 100 in the fall?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything major going on until
and then the new season.
Yeah, and I'm going for a joke August the 20th in St. Thomas.
Right. So what do you think? Want to talk about gambling next time?
I think it's about time we did a
We're gonna unleash the beast, and we'll figure out what is the gambler.
yeah.
What does this mean? What is the gambler? Tune in next time.
That's a good idea.
All
Sounds
right.
like a plan, Chris.
We'll talk about the gambler next time. Thanks again, Dee, for coming down. Cheers, everybody.